SBRForum's Inside the Lines is brought to you by Ladbrokes.
Hi, welcome to SBRForum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and this is it, the final college football preview video that we're going to be doing all year long in the 2012-2013 college football season here at SBRForum Videos. It's the BCS Championship, Alabama and Notre Dame, and we have two very special returning guests to help cover this game with us, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com and Troy West from AllPlaysWin.com. Joe and Troy, thanks for being with us.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me again. Let's close out the college football season with another winner.
Absolutely. Troy, you there?
I'm here, Pete. Appreciate it very much. I'm honored to be a part of this last game with Joe, and hopefully we'll be on the same page and knock down one more winner for everybody out there.
Absolutely. Well, you were two of my absolute favorite guests all year long. Troy, of course, you've had a great record with us. And Joe, you know, what can you say? Industry veteran, handicapping royalty, staid, experienced, proven, almost regal and kingly in his handicapping disposition. Would you say that's accurate, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com?
Yes, I love a thesaurus. You do too, apparently. But yeah, I've been doing this a long, long time, more than a quarter century.
Right, more than a quarter. When did you start handicapping for professionally?
Well, for a profession, I actually started with Dial Sports back in about 1985, 1986. And then when I graduated college, I've done this full-time since the old Scorephone days, but I've been a full-time 100% handicapper, nothing else since 1988.
1988, which I assume is close to the year that Troy West from AllPlaysWin.com was born. Troy West, the young gun, represents the other side. Confident, cocky, brash, some might say a little bit undisciplined, but exploding with handicapping talent. Is that about right, Troy West?
I'd say that's about right. We've been doing this a little bit longer than about 6 years now, but you're right. I'm about the age range of when Duffy's been getting going. But you know, don't be deceived by the youth. We've been doing this a while. We've got a lot of good sources out there. And winning's what this business is about, and that's what we do at all.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a great record with us all year long in these videos, so I don't think that using the term exploding with handicapping talent is too strong of a term to use to describe you.
No, I think it's great. I think it's perfect, Peter. I appreciate it.
All right, let's get down to this game, Alabama and Notre Dame. You know, Alabama opened at about 7.5 as a 7.5 point favorite. Now they're up to 10. Very low total, 41 or 41.5. I'll be the first to admit that I am shocked by how the season turned out for Notre Dame. I was not expecting them to be anywhere close to doing what they did. And it seems like the market is saying that as well. You know, Alabama, the greatest college football program in the nation the past few years. Market seems to be betting them up from 7.5 to 10. And, of course, on the surface, we understand why. Notre Dame, super, super strong and impressive defense, kind of modeled after Alabama and the SEC. But Alabama, of course, also has that kind of defense, but they have a fairly explosive offense to go with it on the other side, which Notre Dame doesn't appear to have, at least on the surface. But then again, BCS Championship game, double-digit underdog, maybe you just take that. Let's see what Joe Duffy from Offshore Insiders has to say.
It was actually quite interesting because Vegas did open it, as you said, about 7.5, but the offshore sports books did it at about 10. And really the difference is Vegas did open up what about the power rating said it should be. But do not underestimate the importance, and sharp players do not underestimate that Alabama, they've certainly been there, done that. They're, of course, national champions. They played in the SEC Championship game, and I think that is the biggest difference between the 2-point spreads. But all in all, I'm going to have to lean towards the favorite, and we'll tell you why as this video goes on.
Really? So Joe Duffy's initial lean is Alabama minus 10. Troy West from AllPlaysWin.com. It's the BCS Championship game. Notre Dame is ranked number 1. They're getting 10 points. You think that's the right side?
You know what's funny? I'm actually rolling with Joe a little bit on this one. If I'm going to play this game, I'm going to roll with the total. I'm going to go under the total on this one. I just think you got two run-first type offenses. It's two teams that want to establish the run game. Alabama does a great job at stopping the run. I don't think Notre Dame wants to get the ball in the air too much. I think they're going to continuously run the football and try to keep this game close, which is going to put both these teams in the teens. I really think it's going to be a 17-10. Wouldn't even be surprised to see maybe even a 17-6 type game that Bama pulls off, but I don't see Notre Dame having their way offensively with Alabama. I think this goes under the 41, to be honest with you. I think both these defenses are stout. Offenses are run first. Neither team really gets up and runs the no huddle. I think they both like time of possession, manage the clock. I like under in this one.
All right, well, Alabama, the total's 41. Alabama alone put up 38.5 points, averaged that many points per game playing against mostly SEC defenses. So you don't think that they're going to be able to get into at least the 20s here against Notre Dame?
I don't think so. I think they're going to get down quite a bit and then have to settle for 3 more often than they have been in the SEC. The SEC had some bad defenses this year. Notre Dame's been, they're the number one team in the country because of their defense. I just think the defenses in both these cases are very, very, very strong. I like it to be both teams under 20. If Bama hits 20, I think Notre Dame's still in the teens, and I think that goes under the 41.
All right, so Joe, what do you think of that? Your lean is towards Alabama. Do you think that that's because Alabama's going to be able to shut Notre Dame's offense down, or because they're actually going to be able to move the ball on this vaunted defense of Notre Dame?
Actually, a little bit of both. The big difference in this game is Alabama's offense. They have a lot more explosive offense than a lot of people think with A.J. McCarron. Of course, they do have the great balance with the two big running backs led by Lacey, a kid who's, again, been there, done that category. But I would actually also agree that the under is where I'm leaning towards totals-wise, because ESPN Insider, which is one of my favorite sources, they had actually broken it down where any game that Alabama has either lost, which hasn't been many in recent years, or has been pushed to the limit, as we saw in the SEC Championship game. Of course, we saw when they lost against Texas A&M. It has been against high-powered teams, so I can see how Alabama will want to try to establish the run first. But the biggest difference here is Alabama does have a passing game. They've got an excellent quarterback with Everett Golson. Remember, here's where he truly becomes a freshman. Now he's got, as we always like to say, that burden of high expectations. Alabama's not in uncharted waters. Notre Dame certainly is, led by their freshman talented quarterback. Golson's going to be one heck of a quarterback before it's all is said and done. But, man, you want to talk about a guy who's not all that experienced playing in easily the biggest game of his life. The biggest difference is Alabama's passing game is more proven. You're right. Notre Dame is a fantastic front seven. The big difference, though, is Alabama's ability to move the ball in the air.
All right, Troy, so what do you think of that? I mean, Alabama's proficiency in the passing game doesn't scare you with such a low total?
Well, I think just Notre Dame's secondary is very, very strong. They got the best safety in college football, for goodness sakes. I just think that Alabama's going to be forced to run the football quite a bit in this game. Notre Dame, I don't think they're going to want to have Golson leash the ball out even more than 15 to 20 times. I think a team like Notre Dame that's a double-digit underdog, their goal is to stay in the ball game. How do you stay in the ball game? You run the ball, you manage the clock, you run those 40-second play clocks down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know what? I just think that Notre Dame's only way they stay in this game is to keep the ball on the ground, try to get the chains moving a little bit. I just think it calls for an under. I just don't think either team's going to air the ball out more than 20 times apiece. You're going to see a lot of punts. I think you're going to see a lot of teams settling for 3 points. I think 3 points is going to be a huge deal in this game. I do think Alabama has potential to put up in the 20s, like I said earlier, but I don't see Notre Dame sniffing it. I really don't. That makes me really like the total and the under in this game.
Right. I mean, that does make a lot of sense. Joe, Duffy, does that make you nervous at all that Notre Dame might play a ball control game plan to limit possessions in general, and Alabama, of course they want to win, but, covering the 10, are they really motivated to do that? Maybe not. And you might just get Alabama sort of getting a convincing win on the field, but not necessarily putting up a lot of points.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Alabama, or I should say Notre Dame's perfect game plan would be to keep the ball on the ground. But if you're going to do nothing more than run, if you're going to make Nick Saban's and Kirby Smart their job that easy, they've got no chance. That Notre Dame to have any chance is going to have some balance on their offense. And there's where, again, I say one of the bigger myths is you can't predict turnovers. I can see Alabama forcing a few turnovers because Notre Dame can't just simply run the ball. You cannot be one-dimensional against Alabama. You can get away with that against a team like Pittsburgh, but against the Crimson Tide, if you're going to be one-dimensional, you're just falling right into their hands.
All right. Well, I think that just about covers it. Great preview. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com and Troy West from AllPlaysWin.com. The official leans are Alabama -10 and the under 41 or 41.5, which is still available right now. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you again next year.